everybody, and welcome to the first ever fourth region roundup. We're going to be, our fourth region report, rather. We're going to be talking some high school hoops. I'm Coach Jay Hurt with the KY Sports Guys. And with me today, and hopefully on a regular basis, is Metcalfe County Hornet legend and Transylvania University star Chris Huffman. Chris, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Coach Hurt. How are you? And first of all, thank you for inviting me to talk about from fourth region basketball. And it's basketball season, and it's time to play ball.
It's a fun time of year, and I appreciate you being a part of this. I think we're going to get an opportunity to talk about something we're both very passionate about, and that's high school hoops, especially in the South Central Kentucky area. And so let's get right to it. We've had about a week of play. We've gotten a chance to look or at least hear about most of the teams on both the boys and the girls side. And so far, as best as I can tell, what we know is not much.
Exactly. You know, the thing about basketball season, when it starts, you know, you really don't know a lot about your team or a lot about these area teams until after Christmas. We start out and we've got so many teams that's just had their football players for a week or 2 weeks. And if some of those teams have been in the state playoffs, they may not still have their teams yet. But, you know, they're starting to learn themselves. Then each one of these coaches, once semester test and once school lets out for Christmas break, they go into their Christmas camps. They have their Christmas tournaments. They go spend time just them and the players. And they learn who they are. They learn what they can do. And I think that's what we'll see. Because right now, if you look at what's happened over the first week and a half of the season, with tonight being the second night of the second week, it's wide open. I mean, you look at the fourth region on the boys' side, you take Warren Central and Bowling Green out of that mix, and everybody else is 2-2, 1-1, 1-3, 2-1. Teams are beating teams that you wouldn't think by just looking at the preseason rankings that they should get beat. So it's the boys' side, I think, is wide open. Ultimately, Warren Central is going to be your strong. You know, they've got most of their players back, regional title people from last year. So they've got players back. They've got some good guards. They've got some inside presence. They're really quick with the ball. Their football players got in there early. They didn't have a successful football season in terms of the playoffs, so they got those kids really early in the mix to start practice. So I think they're probably right now heads above everybody else. But then you got Bowling Green that's right there behind them, that was in the regional finals with them last year. And they're doing his thing. They didn't get their football players quite as early as Warren Central, so they've got a few kinks to work out. But as the season progresses, I think you'll see those two teams rise to the top. You go on down and you look at Glasgow. You know, I think Glasgow right now is trouble with some injuries. And they've got one of their guards that's a really good guard, a good shooter. The Kirkpatrick kid went down with a knee injury. Excellent kid, makes that team a whole lot better and a whole lot different threat. So, but they played Bowling Green this past week within 4 points. So, you know, it's like I said, it's wide open. And we're running wild right now, but things will kind of settle down after Christmas and after the Christmas holiday, and teams will fall back into playing district teams and regional teams, and then you'll be able to kind of tell who's going to rise to the top and who's going to slide back down and go from there. But on the boys' side, I think it's wide open.
Let's take a look at that Bowling Green district real quick, because you started with Warren Central, obviously the favorites, and Bowling Green. And it's been, I believe, since, 2001, since a team not from that district has represented the fourth region in the state tournament. If I'm wrong about that, you know, please send me that information for those of you out there listening. You look at the other teams there. Warren East off to a slow start. They're 0-3. Greenwood is a team that was ranked towards the top in the Bowling Green Preps poll, and they've struggled recently, 1-3 on the season. And then South Warren's kind of the wild card. They've gotten off to a really good start. Like you said, things will probably shake out a little differently. Of those three teams, we've seen Warren East live, and there's some talent there. A little eighth-grade kid that can really play, and some other guys that it's a youthful squad for Coach Brandon Combs. We have not been able to see South Warren and Greenwood yet, but of those three, is there anybody who could sneak in to that district final, or is it Warren Central and Bowling Green the whole way?
Well, I think you got to look at Warren Central. At Warren Central and Bowling Green, like you said, but I think you got to look at South Warren. I guess that's what I'm getting at, because I would have taken Barron County's got a lot of players back. They've got their big kid inside back. They've got a really nice guard, and South Warren goes and beats Barron at Barron 73-64. So they beat a really good Barron team that I would have felt like was a contender for the region to be in that mix. So I think you have to look at South Warren as a team that could come in there. I know Greenwood's got some players back. I know they've got some young players coming, and they were ranked really high going into the second week because they had a really good first week. But then this week they've dropped two, one to Russell County and then one to Allen County. So I really think you have to look at South Warren. Don't count out Warren East. They're real young. I think they're going to upset some people. We played them up here, and our Metcalfe County boys looked really good that night against them. But that Warren East team was, like you said, with an 8th grader. They've got a long, lanky freshman that's really athletic. As this team goes on, they could sneak in there and upset some people. But I do think that you have to look at South Warren just based on what they've done so far with Barron, Franklin, Simpson, and then Allen County.
And I would tell the people who are listening to our show right now, we're early in this too, and as the year goes on, we'll try to put some of the names to the descriptions that we put out there and maybe get a little more specific as far as some of the players that are making waves in the 4th region. I was looking at your sheet there, and South Warren has started the year 3-0, but all 3 wins have been in region, and that's something you like to look at. Now, I know some of the teams, Bowling Green especially, they'll get out and play people in the state in various places. But so far, South Warren making a mark, beating Allen, beating Barron, and beating Franklin Simpson, which brings me to my next question. You talked about it being wide open outside of the Warren Central Bowling Green possibilities. We've seen some crazy results so far. Franklin Simpson's been as up and down as anybody in the early going. They go to Monroe County and take a tough loss. They go to Clinton County down by a lot at half, make a huge comeback and beat Clinton County on the road, which is difficult to do. That's hard to go to Albany and get out of there with a win against Coach Messer's bunch. They play so hard over there. And then come back, and they've taken another loss to South Warren, I believe it was. And so some of these teams, a little difficult to figure out.
Yeah, I think you look at Franklin Simpson and you look at the record that they've got so far, and like you said, they've taken 2 losses, and they did beat Clinton County. And again, Clinton County's in our district, and you're correct. Messer does a great job with those kids over there. Those kids, they understand the concept of playing hard and playing physical from the time they walk in that high school as freshmen. So anytime you can go into Clinton County and get a win regardless of who you are, that's a huge accomplishment. So that happened with Franklin Simpson, but I think you're right. But I think as we go on throughout the year, I think things will kind of settle out. But I do think there's going to be lots of upsets throughout the year based on what you're seeing now. I think it will carry on.
So you look at that Franklin Simpson district, and it's interesting. Logan County, who's ranked fairly high and is going to have a really good team. They've challenged themselves to start the year. They're sitting at 0-2, but they've played Bullitt East, who's solid, Muhlenberg County, who's solid. And so Coach Tinsley down there, they're going out into the state and challenging themselves as best they can. Russellville is off to a good start, as is Todd County Central, and so that district looks intriguing.
Yeah, there's some teams out there. Russellville's played some Tennessee teams out of state, so they've been all over the travel wise. And Todd Central has played Hopkins County Central, and they've played Ballard Memorial. Won both of those games, one at home, one away. So they've challenged himself a little bit. That Logan County team will be somebody to reckon with by the time we get to postseason play, because Coach Tinsley is notorious for playing a tough schedule to try to prepare his team. He's kind of like some of your college coaches. He's not worried too much about the schedule. He's playing for March in that second season that we talk about so much as coaches. So, that district is really wide open down there as to who's doing what. Because I don't think you can look at Franklin Simpson's record being 1-2 with the people that they've played. Those 2 losses are a little bit deceiving. But then you move into the 15th, and now you got Allen County at 2-2, and Barron at 1-1, and Glasgow at 1-3, and Monroe at 1-3. Clearly, Monroe County's win over Franklin Simpson. Again, Monroe County's got the rich kid that's a point guard out there that plays really good, and he makes everybody better. Mm-hmm. I mean, that kid, we saw him play up here that night when we played him, and I thought we did a really good job defensively on him, and then the kid wound up having 28 points. So he was he does a really good job and makes everybody better.
Want to mention real quick while we're at it that this show is kind of an offshoot of the segment on the KY Sports Guys that is brought to you by Bluegrass B-Ball. That's bluegrassbball.com. If you want to get out into the state and really research and get to know what's happening in high school hoops throughout the state of Kentucky, that's your source, bluegrassbball.com, and follow them on Twitter at bluegrassbball. And while you're at it, follow us on Twitter as well at KY Sports Guys. Let's get to the district that really hits home for us. Obviously, we're Metcalfe County folks, and Clinton, Russell, Cumberland, some interesting results there. Our guys are off to a nice start, 2-1, but took a tough loss over at Cumberland County the other night. We've talked quite a bit around the office about we like Cumberland County's talent. Clinton County lost some guys last year, but we feel like they're going to be strong. And then Russell County has 6 seniors and so forth. What are you seeing so far in the 16th district?
I see it being a dogfight all year long between those 4 district teams. There may be somebody come up in there and be 0-4, and there may be somebody be 4-0. But I think we'll exchange wins and losses all year long. I don't know that you can sit here right now and guess a clear favorite. I think Metcalfe County's got some younger guys within that sophomore class, and their senior Whitefields is playing better in the post, and you got Braxton Davis as a senior that's playing a whole lot better. And I can go on and name names, but I think we have done an excellent job rebuilding from a loss of 5 or 6 seniors last year. Clinton County, they just keep coming over there in Clinton County. I mean, the players just keep coming. They lost the Harlan kid and the Stockton kid, and you think if you take your leading scorer and your leading rebounder off, you're going to definitely falter. But, man, they've got some kids with the Steins kid, the Basham kid, and some different people playing over there that's just taking them to the next level. And Russell County, if you've got 6 seniors, what more do you need to say? You can name them and those type of things, but you got 6 guys that's been there for 4 years, and they've been in and out of that program, and that program's really good. And, of course, they got a really good win with Greenwood Tuesday night. They handled Greenwood pretty solid over there Tuesday night at Russell County, and with an 11-point victory. So you think about that. But then you get in here, you talk about Cumberland County, who's not had the ultimate success probably that they've wanted over the past years, but they're athletic. I mean, you can't coach that. I mean, they're athletic. They can run. They can jump. They can be all over the floor, and I think we kind of saw that on Tuesday night. If you don't go to Cumberland County ready to play, they're going to jump on you. And the worst part about a Cumberland County team that's athletic and tenacious and those things they do, if you let them hang around and don't go on and put them away, then you have problems with them. And I think that's kind of what happened to us in Metcalfe. And we didn't play our best, and Cumberland caught us on an off night.
Look, we've talked, and I like Cumberland's talent. The Basham kid is a force. The Dawson Smith kid is as good talent-wise as I won't say as any player, but he's certainly a talented player. Let's say that for sure. And I really like the little sophomore kid, Ty Say, for Cumberland County. Now, you talk about Clinton again, Coach Messer over there. That thing just rolls over, and you say, oh, well, you're going to lose Jackson Harlan, you're going to lose Stockton, and it's going to be a rebuild, and yet the talent just continues to spring up in Clinton County, and they play so hard. They beat you on energy, and they beat you on the glass with the rebounding and the intensity. And then, again, you talk about Russell with those 6 seniors, but it's Ham, a junior, Von Fametti, a junior, Milburn, a sophomore. And so, again, the 16th is going to be fun to watch because every night when they're playing each other, which will happen tonight with Metcalfe and Clinton playing, then you have an opportunity to see what should be entertaining basketball. Real quick, I don't think we touched quite as much on the 15th up there with Allen, Barron, Glasgow, Monroe. You talked about Barron having some kids back, but there was some mixed thoughts, I think, coming into the season. Some people were high on Barron and some people not as much with some of the people that they lost, and yet Barron has looked pretty decent in the couple of games they've gotten to play.
Oh, I think so. They've got the Niken kid and Will Bandy, and then they got the transfer kid from Glasgow Christian that, you've seen a couple of articles on the paper, the Miller kid, Aiden Miller. So I think they've got. I said Aiden Miller. I meant Jacob Shaw, the transfer kid. I was looking at their roster here, but they've got some kids that's really come on. And speaking of that Miller kid, I mean he's just a freshman, and so they've got a really good roster of players over there. Again, I think it's just the simple fact that they just need more time together to come together.
as you're looking at the sheet, and I know you've done some research on this so far, and we're early, we're 3-4 games into this, give me a team and one good win for a team that really stands out.
I think the Russell County win over Greenwood is probably the one win that stands out. You can look at Monroe over Franklin Simpson, possibly Franklin Simpson, in my mind, over Clinton County.
On the road, sure.
Even though the preseason rankings, had Franklin Simpson ranked above Clinton because they lost their two players. But I think that Russell County win over Greenwood, you got Greenwood was ranked the second week of the season number 3 in the region, and Russell County somewhere around 10 or 11. I think that was a huge win for them, even though it was at home. But I think that's the biggest win so far that I'm seeing.
Quickly, let's switch over to the girls' side of the basketball. We certainly don't want to leave them out. You talk about wide open. On the boys' side, Warren Central is probably a step above people, Bowling Green perhaps, and then it does get on the boys' side, there's not a bad team out there that I can find so far. On the girls' side, again, wide open as far as who the best team is. Barron County is your defending regional champs, and people thought they might fall off pretty significantly losing what they lost, but they have a couple of nice wins. They're off to a nice start this year, and so Barron's going to be right in the mix. South Warren's pretty solid, and Bowling Green obviously is one of the favorites, but then you can go into various places and find a Glasgow. You find a Logan County, who I like on the girls' side very much. On the girls' side of the basketball, it really does look like it's anybody's game.
Oh, I think so. I think when you talk about Allen and Barron and those things, Glasgow and Monroe in that 15th district, Barron and Glasgow by far are probably the strongest two teams in that district because we've seen Monroe play, and Allen County's not gotten off to the start that they probably would like to get off to at this point in time. But preseason, Glasgow was number 2 and Barron was number 3 in the region. But that'll be a game. That'd be a game to drive all the way from Metcalfe County to watch Barron and Glasgow girls play because I think it'll be a dogfight over there. No pun intended on that. And
or maybe pun intended. You never know.
But Bowling Green by far right now 1-0. And of course they beat Barron pretty easy. But it was at Bowling Green. They beat them by 13 down there at Bowling Green. So I think Bowling Green's your standout. We've seen Warren East play girls because they played Metcalfe here, and I would like to have that Warren East game. If you give me the Warren East game to go to the state tournament with Metcalfe County, I'll take my chances. So, they've got a nice team, but I feel like that, in that region, in that district down there, Bowling Green and South Warren will come out of that district for the regional tournament. But I still think the 15th probably, in my opinion, other than Bowling Green's got the 2 strongest girls teams. But you are correct. Right now, the girls is a little bit like the boys. Anybody can beat anybody.
I like up there in the 13th, Logan County. They bring everybody back, and they've been in the regional tournament. They knocked us out a couple of years in a row, and I love their lineup with the Van Zant twins and the big kid in the middle and so forth and so on. They did lose a senior off last year's team that hurt us in the region, but by and large, they have about everybody back. Russellville has a young squad that had some success last year. Franklin Simpson still kind of building forward. Lindsay down there coaching them. And then Todd Central has a new coach, and they're in a lot of ways starting from scratch. And so we'll see. Really, the name of the game on the girls' side is youth. You go down to the 16th, and there is just a lack of seniors for anybody. Russell has 2 or 3. Metcalfe has the 1, and Cumberland and Clinton don't have any. And so the players that those 4 teams are putting out, you're going to see those players for a long, long time. Allen County, you mentioned in the 15th, they lost 2 of the best players in program history in Towery and the other kid last year, Sutton. And so Allen's they're not starting from scratch. They have some kids that have some experience, but at the same time, they're looking to rebuild a bit. Barron and Glasgow, obviously, there. Warren East is the story so far. They're 3-0. That's a program that, Chris, when you and I were younger, that was the girls' program to beat. Warren East was everything in girls' basketball. And for the last few years, they just haven't been. A lot of the girls' talents went to Bowling Green or South Warren or other places. Warren East 3-0 and riding high, and that's that's a story to certainly keep an eye on as we go forward. Thoughts on the girls' side before we wrap this thing up?
Oh, I think the girls is a whole lot like the boys. I think it's going to be an interesting year, both boys and girls. I think you're going to have some upsets throughout the year. And then I think when it gets to postseason tournament time and you get to those district tournaments, I think your seeding, I'm not 100% sure your seeding is going to matter, because when you look at this, both teams are – any team can beat anybody on any given night. So I really feel like the postseason play is going to be interesting to watch and to follow as we go through in that regional draw.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We hope to fine-tune this particular podcast and keep it going. We know that there's a ton of fans out there in the 4th region that love their basketball and enjoy following it. We're going to get more players' names involved as the season progresses. We'll keep looking at the rankings. We'll keep talking about how the season progresses, and we are heading towards Christmas time, and there'll be a lot of tournament action and tournament plays. We're going to try to record this every Friday, and so if you are a big fan of 4th Region basketball, we hope that you will continue to stay with us, and we'll try to continue to build upon the product here and give you some information that's fun and entertaining and useful as you go. This has been the 4th Region Report, brought to you by the KY Sports Guys. And remember, bluegrassbball.com, at bluegrassbball, at KY Sports Guys. I'm Coach Jay Hurt for Chris Huffman. Hope you all have a great day.